Credit repair shortcuts that hurt. So in this video, I want to break down some of the most harmful tactics that people are using when it comes to their personal credit. Fact of the matter is, they're using these strategies in belief that they'll get the greatest outcome in a very short period of time, and that is far from the reality. I want to break down some of the misconceptions and the ideas behind the notion that you can actually use those shortcuts to get ahead faster and more reliably, which is untrue. We'll talk about things such as the Section 609 and why the credit reporting agencies don't favor that, as well as some of the gray area tactics that these credit repair gurus are telling you to use, and sometimes don't even tell you and use it on your behalf, which lands you in more trouble. We'll also finish off our conversation with what are some of the alternative strategies that you can use that's both ethical and legal to get you progressively ahead in your credit repair journey. So let's get you started on this video as soon as we roll out the intro. The first secret I'd like to discuss is the concept of filing a complaint directly with the CFPB, thinking that you don't need to send letters to the credit reporting agencies. Now, unfortunately, the reason why you need to send letters is because you need to start a process which demonstrates that you've taken your very steps to start the dispute. See, a lot of people, what they make the mistake of doing is thinking that they don't have to spend so much money and just go directly to the CFPB, file a complaint, and you're going to get the outcomes that you want for your credit repair process. This is going to be further from the truth. The biggest thing when it comes to making sure that your disputes are filed accordingly and your challenges are filed accordingly, you need to ensure that you're doing a process where you're sending out letters. Because by sending those letters, you're going to achieve the greatest outcome. But it's not just a question of sending regular mail. You want to be able to send certified mail with return receipts that demonstrates that they've received the letter from their side. So a lot of these so-called gurus are saying that, hey, I would just send out a process for you that you don't have to worry about it. I'll handle it for you. But behind the scenes, they're simply going and creating a fake email address, going to the CFPB and filing a complaint on your behalf. Now, this is very dangerous because what it does is it logs the entry into the CFPB's portal. From that angle, the credit reporting agencies can simply say, hey, look, you already filed a complaint, we solved the issue, we don't have to deal with you anymore. So in order to avoid that pitfall, the most important step to remember is always send out direct mail. The second step when it comes to investigating some of the gray areas and strategies that I believe is something that's very hurtful is the Section 609 template. And the reason why I think this is critical for you to understand is because the Section 609 template is actually not as powerful as people make it believe to be. The credit reporting agencies, and more specifically Experian, dictated that, hey, look, the Section 609, there is no verbiage that forces us to verify information. In fact, it's the FCRA Section 611 that requires procedures of investigation. So the biggest tactic that you can use for yourself when it comes to this is ignore what everybody else is telling you. Section 609 is only as good as it's what it says. It's just a procedure, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to verify the information. In fact, FCRA Section 611 is a lot more powerful and carries a lot more weight. And that's what you want to focus on. So when it comes to going out there and buying these Section 609 templates, I'd be very careful. See, a lot of people may disagree with my methodology and say, hey, look, that's not true, there is loopholes. But if there is loopholes, you have to prove it, and you have to show me that there is, by evidence. Just because it works doesn't necessarily mean that it's because of the Section 609. Remember, these credit reporting agencies have quotas they have to follow. So when they come to closing an investigation because they have to do a speedy resolution, that can potentially be because of time restraints, and not specifically because of the Section 609. So I want you to be very careful on some of the advice that you follow out there. Let's move on to our next strategy. The next strategy involves ensuring that you're not falling as a victim of identity theft. See, a lot of people out there, they're trying to do credit sweeps for a very minimal cost. The reality is this information can be found on the internet for free. So why would you pay somebody for something that you can do yourself? The worst part is they don't tell you the harm that it's going to cause you long term. You see, filing a false police report is as good as criminal offense. You're lying under oath on a financial or public institution that you're not the one responsible for all the accounts that are on your credit report. If ever audited or investigated, it can land you in a lot of trouble. So all these type of people who are saying that they're doing credit sweeps are actually in fact doing illegal identity theft methods. On your behalf, they would file false police reports, take your signature, and file that complaint. This can land you in a long-term issue and trouble. So what you want to do is whenever it comes to having a credit sweep done, you need to ask all the right questions. And that's what I say, when it comes to doing the proper credit sweep, you have to follow the proper steps. In one of my videos, I discuss about some of the steps that's necessary for you to become successful when it comes to performing a credit sweep. More specifically, I talk about the identity, I talk about the anchoring, as well as some of the steps that you need to take beyond that. So next time somebody says that they're going to perform a sweep on you, I want you to pay attention to exactly what the method is. If they're not unable to give you an answer that you're looking for, I'll be very careful. So that concludes the gray areas of being able to identify what are some of the gray and illegal tactics when it comes to credit repair, and why you should avoid these dangerous tactics because they'll get you in trouble long term. I'd like to include a bonus strategy that has been recently brought to attention. This strategy is the CPN method. A lot of people try to cover their old credit and debt amounts by getting CPN numbers. Now these CPN numbers essentially mean credit profile numbers. Does it necessarily mean that it's legal? No, it doesn't. While you're filing an application with a CPN, it's the same as lying about your identity. This is in fact a criminal offense and can land you in jail. The people who are selling these CPN services are not the ones responsible. In fact, when they sell it to you, there's a clear disclosure on the online services that you buy CPNs from that states that you are solely responsible for how you use this. So don't try to bury your past. The best thing you can absolutely do is work with what you have and try to fix the current issues on your credit report. And don't ever try these gray strategies and tactics that I've just described to you. Let's move on to some of the alternative ways that you can use to fix your credit. So I'm a very big proponent of making sure that you have everything in line, all your ducks in a row. That includes making sure that your personal identification information on your credit reports are aligned to what they need to be. See, unfortunately, when you're reading a credit report, sometimes what happens is you have so much information on your personal level that it just doesn't make any sense. As you can tell, it's easy to confuse some individuals and put all this information in a credit report that doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% accurate. In those instances, it's up to you to make sure that you can remove any inaccurate, inconsistent, unreliable information. Fact of the matter is, this information can be extremely misleading to a lot of creditors. And for this reason, it's important to practice using the PI minimizer technique. All you're simply doing is asking the credit reporting agencies to remove all the personal information that are no longer relevant to you. That could be a list of names, could be a list of addresses, could be a list of phone numbers, SSNs, date of births, even aliases. You also want to remove any previous addresses as well as your current employers and previous employers. The biggest strategy here is to make sure that once those items are removed, the next step can be followed in a very smooth and easy way. In order to execute a proper credit repair process, the first step is always personal data. By simply attaching your information and the personal data and ensuring that you've removed them, you're making it easier for yourself to challenge and negotiate any other accounts that are not corresponding to you as a person. Having the list of all these extra personal identifiers can be harmful to your credit report. And the reason they're going to be harmful is because you don't have a way to ensure that you can determine the accuracy of those items being reported in the first place. Creditors despise this tactic, but you have to use it as much as you can. So every time you go on your next step, the credit repair journey, make sure your personal identifiers are the first strategy that you execute. Make sure you avoid all the gray areas and stuff that we just discussed today. Make sure you don't pay for somebody to do credit sweep on you without them explaining to you what the process is going to be. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what I shared with you, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below on some of the things that you agree or disagree on, and don't forget to share this video with those that you feel would benefit. If you'd like to join our free Tube Community Facebook group, the link is in the description. I'd like to see you on the other side. And with that said and done, this is your guide and mentor, Alito Rafter. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.